Thank you for auditing the always positive new music review show hosted by a French professor who might be straining at the concept of being always positive. You see, I'm going to be reviewing the album Unlimited Love by Red Hot Chili Peppers, and as you can tell, my thumbnail, my title for this video, since I knew I was going to review this album, was Coming to Terms with the Red Hot Chili Peppers. But you need to understand something. This is a positive review of an album that I don't particularly like. And I want to be able to sort of thread that needle and discuss music and discuss why I respect it, but sometimes why I don't like it, and how those things can kind of exist at the same time. If you love the Red Hot Chili Peppers, my hope is that this video will help you to understand why some people hate them. And if you hate the Red Hot Chili Peppers, I hope this video will help you understand why some people love them. I think they're in that realm of bands that are sort of overloved and underappreciated, like underrated and overloved, if there can be something like that. But let me talk about my history. Because when I say coming to terms with the Red Hot Chili Peppers, I'm talking 31 years of thinking about this band, okay? The first time I heard them was when my brother Bart, who I looked up to, played Give It Away and like stumbled around the room in his bathrobe and was like dancing all over the couch and just being a big goofball. He's 11 years older than me, and I love the energy of this music. That was like so exciting, It's like he's the same guy who introduced Jane's Addiction to me, and I was like getting into alternative music, and I understood like these would be my North Stars of alternative music. I was a freshman in high school, and this was going to be my thing, Jane's Addiction and Red Hot Chili Peppers. So then I go to high school, and just a couple months into my high school career, who comes to play Boston but the Red Hot Chili Peppers? They performed a show in November 1991, which Rolling Stone has called one of the 5 best concerts of the 1990s, and I can tell you why. Opening up for them was a fairly unknown band that just had one album out at that point called Smashing Pumpkins, and then the next band hadn't released their debut yet, but they would soon to be known to the world as Pearl Jam. So I see a young Smashing Pumpkins, a younger Pearl Jam, just blew my mind, and then out comes Red Hot Chili Peppers. And the whole thing that made me excited about them was always, it used to be, when you talk about them, they were dangerous, they were dark, they were these dudes from LA who had tattoos. Who has tattoos? No one has tattoos. This is the 90s. And they were naked all the time, and they wore socks over their penises, and they jumped around, and one of the guys was named Flea. Who names themselves Flea? They had this whole crazy punk energy to them, which is basically completely gone when we talk about them now. When we talk about them now, we think about them as a middle-of-the-road aging rock band, but you cannot understand how shocking and underground they felt. Watch the movie Less Than Zero from like 1987 or something, and you'll see a very young Red Hot Chili Peppers that are used in the background as sort of a symbol of the underground LA scene. They were very LA and they were very underground. And at this point, I was a super fan. After seeing them in 1991, not only did I get, of course, Blood Sugar Sex Magic, I went out and got the previous album, Mother's Milk. I don't know where the cover went. I can take a guess. Uplift the Mofo Party Plan, and of course their first album. I went out and got everything. Everything I could. Now, I even went out and bought a bootleg at Mystery Train Records on Newbury Street in Boston of their performance at the Channel Rock Club in 1989. If you were around in Boston at the time, the Channel was one of the smaller clubs. It was a very cool place. That's where I would see acts like Sam Black Church and Slapshot. It was like synonymous with punk and underground awesome music. That's how much I loved the Chili Peppers, getting bootlegs. I then would see them at Lollapalooza 2, headlining basically the same show, but again, Anthony Kiedis, this god of masculinity with his long hair and his chest and his spandex with a hand over it, it was just very exciting. I loved it so much I bought Funky Monks, the documentary about how Rick Rubin and the Red Hot Chili Peppers made that album. Okay? So when I'm coming out here and saying, like, coming to terms with the Chili Peppers, I'm not coming at you saying, like, I've always been better than the Chili Peppers. I'm trying to tell you this is a long history. So what happened? What happened was Under the Bridge. Oh, Under the Bridge. That's what happened. You see, sometimes great bands get the wrong kind of feedback. Give It Away, in my opinion, is the right kind of Red Hot Chili Peppers song. Silly, funky, funny, energetic. Under the Bridge is more of the maudlin, soft rock feeling that would eventually, in my mind, take over the entire band. It was ubiquitous. It was everywhere. It used to be that, my band would be the cool enough band to play Chili Peppers, but now the cover band that just a year before was playing all the Metallica songs, and a year before that was playing all Guns N' Roses, was now playing Under the Bridge. In my mind, it was a complete and total sellout. Now mind you, this is the mind of a teenager. I bought this damn album. The whole album's great. This is like one of the greatest rock albums of the 90s, I'm coming to realize now, but somehow they sold out for people liking that one song. Hell, I even have a prop. My wife says that the props are doofy, but I have a prop. This is a picture of me in 1991 wearing my Red Hot Chili Peppers t-shirt. That's what I bought at the concert. If you look behind me, you see the Red Hot Chili Pepper, the back of the shirt, with one of their tattoos, with a sort of Inuit image there. So, thanks to the popularity of that song, I kind of turned off. And I sort of started listening to their older stuff, and I realized there's not that much that I really like on this. Like I sort of turned on them. And by the time they released their next album, One Hot Minute in 1995, I never would have bought it in a million years. I didn't even think about buying it. I didn't even not buy it. They just were dead to me. And that's part of youth, right? Like you get into a band, you get super excited, they're the biggest thing in the world, and they change the way that you think about music. Like I started playing music differently, I started playing bass differently, I started playing drums differently. Everything was all wrapped up. And then within a couple of years, I wouldn't piss on them if their heart was on fire. That's what happens when you're young. So eventually, time moves on, and they don't go away. You see a Mighty Mighty Boss Tones t-shirt back there too. They eventually went away. The Chili Peppers just get bigger and bigger. And all I get is Under the Bridge after Under the Bridge. Objectively speaking, Under the Bridge is a great song, right? I mean, its ubiquity was its sin. But all these other songs, like Californication, oh my God, what? And Little Girl with a Push-Up Bra, just all these middle-of-the-road, whiny, bloated rock songs about the way the world is and the way California is. I mean, American Idiot was too preachy for me. I definitely wasn't going to get behind Californication. My cousin is married to an awesome guy, a guy named Luis. I love him. He's a pilot, very, very cool guy. And when I lived out in California, I remember once I got into his car and he was driving a Porsche Cayenne, which if you don't know, it's an SUV of a Porsche. So what's the point? Anyways, and while we were driving, he puts on the Californication album, and he's trying to tell me how great it is. And I realized at that moment, that's what the Red Hot Chili Peppers have become to me. They become like an SUV sports car. Like something that I sort of like, right? Like who doesn't like a nice Porsche, right? It's cool. But then it's like made for a different audience and made into something totally monstrous. This pop, middle-of-the-road, adult contemporary Red Hot Chili Peppers. And that's where they stood with me for a long time. When I watched The Good Place and they made the joke that anyone who ever unironically enjoyed the Chili Peppers goes to hell, I laughed along. I kind of hid my head and had to tell my kids that I indeed did enjoy Red Hot Chili Peppers unironically. But all that changed when a couple years ago, my brother and his wife moved to Rochester. So if you hear some sounds, my dog Toby, I have to move his dog bed because the dog bed was in the sun. Here you go, Toby. There you go, buddy. I'll film him at the end so you get to see what I'm talking about. But he was just so sad looking there. So my sister-in-law, Deborah, who has been one of the most important musical influences in my life, she's the one who really got me into Neil Young, and she just loves the Chili Peppers. Like loves them the way I love Kanye. And I realized I hadn't really met somebody like that. And I would talk to her about my experiences and the concerts I'd went to, and she'd play me some of their new music. And I have enough respect for her that I realized I really had to revisit this. I really had to reopen my mind that was closed when that band had the unmitigated audacity to become more popular than I wanted them to be. Fast forward to earlier this year, I have always wanted my son to be in a band, and my daughter, but my son's a little bit older. I've always wanted him just to have a band in the basement just like I was down there playing music. He gets a band, and what's the first song that they play? Shout out to Structured Study Hall. They're going places. The first song they play is Aeroplane. Music is my airplane, is my... Second song they play, Don't Stop. So all of a sudden, it feels as though the entire universe is telling me, hey, Sky, you have to just get over whatever this is that you have with the Chili Peppers. You have to come to terms with the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And what better way to do it than this album? First of all, produced by Rick Rubin. Rick Rubin doesn't miss. He's been great in everything he's ever produced. But like, this album, like listening to it with open ears, at times it's great. At times it's not. At times it's bad. But it's good. I mean, sometimes the songwriting is cheesy. And Anthony Kiedis' voice I don't generally like. But it's very groovy, very funky. Always such great instrumentalists, right? I mean, really, all of them are so good. Chad Smith is such a good drummer. I remember watching him back in '91 and saying, that's how I want to drum. And Flea, for all that we laugh at him and for being in Big Lebowski, he really is a great bassist. And then, of course, on top of that is John Frusciante, who I'll be talking about soon. But I realized, like, I really enjoyed listening to this album. Like, I enjoyed it. It was fun. At times it wasn't. But it gave me this kind of lightness to realize I could once again enjoy the Red Hot Chili Peppers. In a lot of ways, I think the Red Hot Chili Peppers are Aerosmith. So Aerosmith was a great band, okay? Like, from 1973 until like 1991, Aerosmith was a great band. The problem was they started making these slow ballad songs with a guy named Desmond Child, and those were so successful that that's what they became. But if you listen carefully to Aerosmith, you realize it was always in there. Whatever that sellout was, whatever that change was, it was always in there. And our job as music lovers and lovers of culture is to accept the fact that we might not like what it has become, but also it was sort of always that. So if I listen to Uplift Mojo Party Plan, and I listen to it honestly, I feel the same way about this album that I do about Unlimited Love. Good songs, a little bit cheesy, don't always like the singer, great instrumentation, a lot of fun, I'm happy to listen to it. Now musically, the sort of linchpin is John Frusciante, who's come back to the band, I guess after a break. Talk about coming to terms with someone. I've had two separate people, my friend Dave and my sister-in-law Deborah, very different people, both come to me and like cult members trying to tell me about how wonderful Zulu, the sun god, is, sitting there trying to tell me how good John Frusciante is. They both gave me copies of his solo CD. Like, you have to listen, you have to listen. There's something messianic, something interesting about John Frusciante. But what I find interesting is, I read a quote with him where he talked about a discussion he had with the previous guitarist, the first guitarist, Hillel Slovak, about how he wouldn't like the band if they ever played the Forum, if they ever got big enough to get out of clubs. So already we have the conflict within me of, can I love this band? The main songwriter, John Frusciante, or one of the main songwriters, and one of the front people of the band, himself can't come to terms with these changes. Things that I definitely love about this album and Red Hot Chili Peppers in general, they're just so LA. I mean, I lived in LA for like a year. They're just such an LA band. They're always talking about like the convenience stores at gas stations, which are really important places. But really, it's just the instrumental breaks on this album. If you love music, if you just love good musicians who've played together for 30 years, like playing well together, you can't do better. You just can't. I mean, the instrumental breaks on this album, if for nothing else, is worth listening to, because that's my issue. My issue is Anthony Kiedis. I don't care for his voice. I don't care for his melodies. I don't care for his lyrics. No. I'm sorry. Some people don't care for Kanye. It's true. I don't know how it's possible, but it's true. Something about him can be sort of Bono-ish, kind of blowhardy, kind of like, I figured out the world, let me share it with you. But there are times in this album where I like it because he shows a little bit more vulnerability, a little bit less like third-person commentary, a little bit more first-person commentary. And I want to jump right into my favorite song. When I say favorite song, I don't mean like my favorite song in this album. I mean my favorite song in the entire Red Hot Chili Peppers discography, Aquatic Mouth Dance. Let's give them credit for a song that is this good, that is as good as anything else they have ever released. They've been doing this for, 40 years now? You know, I've hated this band for longer than most people, statistically, who are watching this video have been alive, okay? That's how long they've been at it. And as a former huge fan, I can tell you this is as good as they've ever been. Why? Because it's based on a groove, a funky bass line, and Chad being a great drummer. And I really like Anthony Kiedis on here. He's sort of singing and rapping and talking about how hip hop changed his life. And then he'll break into this little sing which I don't know how. Like, his singing is engaging and nice, and it's sort of a nostalgic look back at the 80s and the way music changed and who was looking out for me and you. Maybe it's Susie Sue, referencing Susie and the Banshees. But it's more than that. Like, it really feels like it's a meditation on music and the power of music and his role and his band's role in music and other people. So it's kind of more interesting than that. And then we get the beautiful Rick Rubin coming in and adding some horns in here. Almost like Kool and the Gang style keyboard sounds, a really jammy moment with the chorus, and then all the way throughout, John Frusciante is just amazing. Just this whole album, he's just, I'm starting to get it. I feel like I should finally listen to those albums. You know, Dave gave me the album in like 2010. My sister-in-law gave me the album in like 2018. Shit, they might be watching. I've never listened to the John Frusciante album, but I think I'm going to now. You know, when people give you CDs, it can be hard to actually listen to them. So this is a great example of why I love this channel. Because I never would have revisited the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I mean, not only would I have never discovered Black Country New Road or Griselda, but I never would have revisited this band that's like totally cool. I mean, who else is making rock and roll and funk and making it successful on the radio anymore? Like, nobody. Who cares if sometimes it's too cheesy? It's great. I'm going to go through the rest of the album a little bit quicker. Black Summer has a very Hendrixy guitar. Another thing that I love about the Red Hot Chili Peppers is they are really insistent on Jimi Hendrix's legacy. Not just that they have, you know, I think Flea has a tattoo of him on his chest. Actually, I think he has a tattoo of the image that's on that t-shirt right there. That was my first rock and roll t-shirt, Jimi Hendrix t-shirt that I ordered out of, I ordered it off of a cassette. Like, I sent cash in an envelope to Ryko Disc for the Radio 1 t-shirt. Anyways, true story. I love that they honor Jimi Hendrix, that they are really building, especially John Frusciante, the guitar sound, the way it's played, it works. And not enough people try to play like Jimi Hendrix and have it work. And I don't mean like but I mean like the ability to work with a guitar, with this Stratocaster, just have a sort of ease with it and create interesting melodies. Kiedis' delivery on this song is odd. It's almost like an English folk song. It almost reminds me of like Traffic. The skies refuse to cry. The night is dressed like the moon. All the way throughout this album, there's a lot of sort of like elliptical lyrics, kind of odd, almost obscure, sort of like so I'm just gonna move that over there. Almost like 60s style, quasi-psychedelic lyrics, which I like. Because then the other mode is kind of cornball. In some ways, this reminds me of high school lyrics, like good lyrics written by high schoolers, the way that it's said, like the night is dressed like the moon. But, you know, when the whole band comes in on this song, and Chad Smith is just so tight, and then the bridge is just beautiful, there's great guitar work, and then there's an instrumental part. And the way that this guitar solo goes and it shifts with the melody, I want to kick my own ass for how much I have spoken poorly of Red Hot Chili Peppers in the past, because I'm sure they've been doing this on all their stuff, but I just can't forgive them for Under the Bridge. I can't forgive them for Selling Out. I can't forgive them for In a Push-Up Bra, which has forced me to miss these little instrumental parts, and this whole album is jam-packed with those instrumental moments. Here Ever After just starts with kind of, the whole album has a very jammy feel, like these two notes bass, kind of an epic Western guitar, and then Kiedis starts talking, and this is where I don't like Kiedis' lyrics. It's all about like dangerous girls with daddy issues, and I like the references to the Chevron in LA, you know, again, it's sort of like LA Chevron, very kind of LA scene. So I just don't like this song because I don't like songs about dangerous, and it's like, dude, you're like, he's got to be at least in his 50s, right? So, like, don't be singing about, like, dangerous girls, man. I mean, you don't have to, like, settle down, but it doesn't come across right. But then there's an instrumental outro that is really, really awesome, with really, really good groove, with tons of just great bass and drums, and another guitar solo, which makes me certain I'm going to listen to that John Frusciante album today. Today. I'm going to drive my daughter to Crewe. I'm going to listen to the John Frusciante album today. Next song is The Stamp, Aquatic Mouth Dance. Then Not the One, kind of a under the bridge style song, so almost like a pedal steel sound in the back. A great whiny guitar solo, but in general, this is that kind of soft, middle of the road style music that I don't like. I don't hate it though, because the guitar solo is so good, and there's nice effects, and it's so well produced by Rick Rubin, you can't really complain. Poster Child is the next song. It seems like a sequel to Aquatic Mouth Dance in the way that it seems to be talking about music and music's place and just listing a bunch of people. It almost reminds me of We Didn't Start the Fire, but it doesn't quite go there. So annoying the way it says, "You've got the best of my logo." I don't know. I've got the best of his logo. I don't know. I don't particularly like this one. I don't hate it, because again, the instrumentals are so good. The Great Apes is a cool, interesting, like, total shift on here. Like, very clean guitars, very nicely strummed with some complicated rhythms. Just very well produced. It kind of reminds me of Kiss in a way. I don't know if that makes sense. But kind of weird lyrics like superstars don't do the dishes. Which I like. I like lyrics like that where he's drawing attention to who he really is as opposed to writing about other people's lives. But just really, I'm not a huge fan of the song, but I really like the atmosphere. And again, a great guitar solo. And amidst all these things I'm saying I don't like, my favorite lyric on the entire album is in this song. Pixelated panther and I'll let it purr. I don't know what it means, but a pixelated panther makes some kind of sense to me. I'll let it purr. Something about that makes sense. It's like vaguely sexual, vaguely menacing. It's a great example of the best parts of lyrics on this album, which are a little bit bizarre. It's Only Natural is one of these songs where he's writing in the third person. She was a London girl. He was a this. More about like daddy girl. Seems to be like a song. Maybe this is like, I don't know. Okay, you tell me in the comments. First of all, tell me in the comments what's your favorite Red Hot Chili Peppers album and song. I'm curious. Okay, I am curious. Second of all, there's a chance that this song is about someone in particular. I didn't look it up. I try not to do a lot of research when I know a lot about a band. So maybe this is about, I don't know, Amy Winehouse or something. Maybe. I don't know. But the whole thing feels kind of like one of these third person, like, I'm so wise, let me tell you about the world. But guess what happens? Guess what happens? There's a guitar solo with this crazy echo in the back, this like descending guitar solo, and this might be one of my favorite musical moments of the year. In the middle of this song that I just told you that I don't really like, but then if you look at my notes, what do I say? Truly a great song. I don't know, Chili Peppers. You keep doing this to me. I keep saying I don't like it, then I keep liking it. Next song is called She's a Lover. I don't know. This one's okay. I like the bass work on the chorus. Kind of a forgettable song. I mean, we hear the title, Forever Love. I feel like this album might be a divorce album. I can't quite tell. Some of the thematics feel like it's about love ending and like someone being excited to be single again. I don't know. These Are the Ways. This is Rick Rubin really making his money on this production. Almost kind of country delivery, but his voice is really, Kiedis' voice is really beautiful here. This is my favorite appearance of his voice. Great guitar and bass. The drum comes in. A ridiculously 90s sounding chorus and post-chorus. And this has the most interesting dichotomy of a great verse and a terrible chorus. Because the chorus is all like, this is how it is in America. Like, dude, don't tell me like what California is or what America is or what some. Just knock it off. That's my advice to Anthony Kiedis. Knock it off talking about the way things are. I will sip my coffee here. Oh, this is my new camera, by the way. Does it look better? I feel like I look kind of weird and washed out. Oh well. Next song is called What You Thinkin'. A very tight bass, a nice high guitar, kind of a cowbell. I must admit, at this point I got kind of tired of the album. There's like 8 more songs left. I would say the main problem in this album is that it's just too long. I do kind of like the second verse. There's kind of a staccato voice in here. And then there's a lot of themes of sort of Native Americanness here, talking about like the Black Hills and Buffalo. And this is sort of one thing about the Chili Peppers they've done for a long time, is use Native American themes. And I don't know if they got the memo, but I like, that's just in general, just we tend not to do that anymore. Like, I mean, go all the way back to, Fight Like a Brave and him having the tattoos and like this image here on the t-shirt, like I think it's actually Quacayudo. I said Inuit. I meant to say Quacayudo. The Quacayudo tribe, and kind of mixing together this imagery. And I know the band has a connection to Native American history, and that's cool, but I can't help but it feels a little bit exploitative at this point, because that's not what their band's about. So it does feel a little bit just like using these themes of fight like a brave. Bastards of Light's interesting. Nice breakup. Again, Rick Rubin, his fingerprints are all over here, breaking up these sounds with a synthesizer and bass. A very, very sweet chorus with nice background vocals, I think by Frusciante. A very kind of cool robotic second verse. A terrible bridge to the song. That's the one downfall of the song, but I like it. I like the next song too, White Braids and Pillow Chair, which is a really soft song. But I like this song for a soft song by the Chili Peppers. It's very well layered and textured. Again, maybe I need to revisit Kiedis because his voice is so good here. I don't know how he took care of his voice. I know he's been sort of in and out of rehab for most of his adult life. Usually those voices tend to age poorly, but his voice sounds really nice. And a very gorgeous bridge on this song. Unlike the last song, with this warbling guitar, talking about Santa Cruz in June, you realize the whole thing is trying to sound a little bit like a surf song, and the guitar sounds like a surf song, like by The Ventures or Dick Dale. Very cool. One-Way Traffic. Skip. Nope. Song about getting older and becoming a capitalist. Nope. Rapping so bad you wish it was like Gwen Stefani in 2005. Nope. Scene about having the XM on. Nope. Skip. I accidentally listened to it again this morning, and god damn it, there's a great part at the end. Don't skip. Don't skip One-Way Traffic. Fast forward One-Way Traffic to the bass solo at the end. Some of Flea's best work that I've ever heard. That's awesome. So we had this whole song, and I'm just hating these lyrics. I'm just hating it. But I was busy doing some kind of academic administrative stuff, and then like I hear this bass, I'm like, that's great. What song is this? And then I look at my notes, and it was one of my skips. Next song is called Veronica. Another one of these third-person songs talking about she came from the south side of Chicago. Really, Mr. Millionaire rock and roll star, are you going to talk about someone from the south side of Chicago? Oh no, actually you're going to talk about someone named Nebraska who lives in Nebraska. What is this like poor person rock? This is that kind of like bloated rock and roll stuff of like singing about the people, the real working people. This is, I'd say, another skip. But this one, as far as I can tell, doesn't have any redeeming qualities. Maybe it does. You tell me in the comments. Next song, Let 'Em Cry, is great. So we're sort of back on something good here. Kind of a disco bass and guitar. Simplicity of the playing, simplicity of lyrics. Great guitar work on the chorus. I actually am looking forward to listening to that John Frusciante album now. And then these horns come in. And it made me realize like my favorite songs on the album are the songs with the horns. I'd like more horns, please. Please, Rick. Could you add more horns in the remix version? At times it sort of reminds me like a good Burt Bacharach song. And there's a great outro, another instrumental outro. Rock and roll and music in general, musicianship is kind of outmoded. And I'm not going to be some boomer saying like it's all the DJs and the hip and the hoppers, but it kind of is. It kind of is the way that music can be created, and that musicianship and virtuosity is not as important as it was 30 years ago, and especially as it was 50 years ago. So a band that has people, like no wonder Structured Study Hall, my son's band, no wonder they play all these songs from the 90s. Seriously, like they just play like Pearl Jam and Chili Peppers and Nirvana. It's funny. Because what are they going to play? Like Chainsmokers? Or even 21 Pilots, where they're very good musicians, but when it comes to the songwriting, what matters is the songwriting and the pop construction, not so much the rockin' and the rollin'. So it makes sense. So it is nice to be able to hear this kind of instrument again. Next song is called Heavy Wing, kind of a ditty. A lot of this album feels like it was just kind of cobbled together with people who just like playing together. But I'm not gonna poop on that because that's great. Because it's great hearing great musicians playing together. What I like about this is the drums on here reminds me of sort of like the drums on Enter Sandman, where it's all on the toms. So it has this sort of like cool kind of like chuggy feeling. Seems as though Kiedis ran out of ideas for the chorus. I do like the second verse though. This is kind of a neat song. And then the album ends beautifully with a gentle acoustic song, like the first acoustic guitar, I think, on the entire album. It's a love song about the smell of Tangelos and how sweet things are and just how good his life is. It's very gentle, it's very subtle, it's very restrained, has some kind of choral synth. And I want to give the Chili Peppers credit for ending the album like this, because the rest of the album, it didn't really, there aren't a lot of sort of super quiet moments, but usually when there are, they're built up with some kind of energetic chorus or bridge. Here, it's just that way. So there I am, coming to terms with Red Hot Chili Peppers. I don't think I'm going to buy this album, but when they come to play in Buffalo, I'm going to get tickets, and I'm going to go. I'm excited to see them again, because they're a good band. These are my Patreons, so they give me money so that I can buy music and concert tickets and stuff. So thank you to all these people. I had 2 people just join in the last couple hours. I didn't have time to do this because I got to get my daughter to crew. How many of you are there? Good Lord, I got 50. I got 50 now. You know that? You can be one of these people if you want. Patreon.com/Professor Sky. Okay. I don't know why. Oh, I said I would show you where Toby was. That's where Toby was. But then he started licking his non-existent testicles in the middle of the video, and I had to throw a pillow at him to get him to stop, and he left in protest. See if you can discover what point in the video that was. All right, well, until next time, I'm off to listen to John Frusciante, and just in general, be a funky monk. Smash the like bucket and tell me what do you like about the Red Hot Chili Peppers, because there's a lot to like. There's the camera.